Welcome to our exploration of Stoic philosophy, an ancient wisdom that speaks directly to our modern challenges. Today, we're diving into the foundational principles that make Stoicism such a powerful tool for navigating life's complexities. I'm excited to share how these timeless ideas can transform your daily experience and help you build a more resilient mindset. Let's begin with one of Stoicism's most fundamental concepts, living in harmony with nature. Now, when we talk about nature in Stoicism, we're not just referring to trees and mountains. We're talking about understanding the fundamental order of the universe itself. Think about this. Have you ever tried swimming against a powerful current? It's exhausting, isn't it? That's exactly what it's like when we resist the natural flow of events in our lives. Here's a scenario we can all relate to. You're on a bus, stuck in heavy traffic. You have two choices. You can spend your energy getting frustrated, tensing up, and checking your watch every 30 seconds, or you can accept that traffic is simply part of city life and use that time productively. Maybe you can read, listen to a podcast, or simply take a moment to plan your day. This is what living in harmony with nature looks like in practice, not just passively accepting reality, but working within it intelligently. Now let's talk about something that can revolutionize your daily life, the dichotomy of control. This principle is beautifully simple, yet profoundly impactful. Some things are in your control and some things aren't. That's it. But let me show you how powerful this idea can be. Imagine you're preparing for a job interview. Through the lens of Stoic philosophy, you'd focus entirely on what you can control, your preparation, your attitude, your responses, and your punctuality. You'd acknowledge but not worry about things beyond your control, the interviewer's mood, the specific questions they'll ask, whether someone more qualified applies, or the company's internal politics. This approach isn't about becoming passive or fatalistic. Instead, it's about directing your energy where it can actually make a difference. It's incredibly liberating when you truly understand and apply this principle. Moving on to another cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, the practice of virtue. In Stoicism, virtue isn't about following a rigid set of rules, it's about developing excellence of character. The Stoics identified 4 cardinal virtues that we can translate into modern terms. First, there's wisdom, not just book knowledge, but practical intelligence that helps you make good decisions in complex situations. Then there's courage, which isn't just about physical bravery, but about standing up for what's right, even in everyday situations where it might be easier to stay quiet. Justice, the third virtue, focuses on treating others fairly and contributing positively to your community. And finally, there's temperance, finding that sweet spot between excess and deficiency in all areas of life. Think of these virtues as skills you're developing, similar to learning a musical instrument. You wouldn't expect to master the piano overnight, would you? The same applies here. Developing these virtues is a gradual process of growth and practice. The next thing is about mastering our emotional responses and developing a healthy relationship with fate. The Stoic approach to emotions is often misunderstood. Many think Stoicism is about suppressing emotions or becoming cold and unfeeling. Nothing could be further from the truth. What the Stoics actually taught was something they called apatheia. Not to be confused with apathy, this is about understanding and guiding our emotions through reason rather than being controlled by them. Here's a scenario we can all relate to. Imagine you've just received harsh feedback on a project you've poured your heart into. Your immediate emotional response might be anger or disappointment. That's natural and human, but the Stoic approach teaches us to pause at this moment. Take a breath. Observe your emotional reaction as if you were a scientist studying an interesting phenomenon. Then analyze the situation objectively. What parts of the feedback might actually be useful? What can you learn from this experience? The key is converting that emotional energy into constructive action. Think of emotions like water. Uncontrolled, water can flood and destroy everything in its path, but when properly channeled, it can power entire cities. Your emotions have the same potential. They can either overwhelm you or become a source of tremendous power and motivation. Now let's talk about one of the most profound Stoic concepts, amor fati, or the love of fate. This might sound like a fancy way of saying just accept whatever happens, but it's far more radical than that. It means not just accepting what happens, but embracing it as if you had chosen it yourself. Picture this. You're walking home, and suddenly it starts pouring rain. You don't have an umbrella. Most people would curse their luck, hunch their shoulders, and rush home in misery. But what if you chose to embrace this moment? Maybe you slow down and enjoy the refreshing feeling of the rain. Maybe you use this quiet, wet moment for reflection. Maybe you even find joy in the experience. This is amor fati in action, turning what seems like misfortune into opportunity. Connected to this is another powerful Stoic concept, memento mori, or remember death. Now, I know this sounds morbid, but stay with me. This isn't about being morbid or pessimistic. It's about using the awareness of our mortality as a tool for living better. Think about it. How many of our daily worries would simply evaporate if we viewed them through the lens of our finite existence? Would that embarrassing moment from last week still matter? Would you keep postponing that conversation you need to have with a loved one? Remembering our mortality helps us prioritize what truly matters, stop postponing important decisions, value our relationships more deeply, and live more authentically. It's like having a wise friend who constantly reminds you to focus on what's truly important. This brings us to another crucial Stoic insight, the importance of living in the present moment. Modern psychology has confirmed what the Stoics knew centuries ago. Much of our suffering comes from living in the past or future rather than the present. We torment ourselves with past regrets or future anxieties, missing the only moment we can actually influence, right now. The Stoic approach to presence isn't about ignoring the past or future. It's about engaging with the present moment fully and purposefully. When you're working, work. When you're with family, be with family. When you're resting, truly rest. Each moment is an opportunity to act with wisdom and purpose. The next Stoic practice is daily reflection. The Stoics understood that real change comes through consistent, mindful practice. Think of it as a mental workout. Just as athletes train their bodies, we must train our minds. This training happens at two crucial times each day. First, there's the morning reflection. Before you dive into your day's activities, take a few quiet moments to review what lies ahead. What challenges might you face? What opportunities might arise? This isn't about planning every minute. It's about setting intentions and reminding yourself of what you can and cannot control. It's like checking the weather forecast before a journey. You're not controlling the weather, you're preparing to navigate it skillfully. Then, at day's end, take time for review. Ask yourself, what went well today? Where could I have done better? What lessons can I take forward? How did I serve others? This isn't about judgment or self-criticism. It's about learning and growth. Think of it as having a friendly conversation with yourself about your day. Now let's talk about a fascinating Stoic practice called negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum. I know it sounds intimidating, but this is actually one of the most practical tools in the Stoic arsenal. The idea is simple. Regularly imagine challenging scenarios, not to induce anxiety, but to build resilience and appreciation. Imagine your smartphone stops working, your car breaks down, or you lose your job. By mentally rehearsing these situations, you accomplish two things. You realize you can handle more than you think, and you develop a deeper appreciation for what you currently have. It's like having an emotional emergency kit ready before you need it. Now let's expand our view to something larger, our role in the community. Stoicism teaches that we're all part of a larger human family. This isn't just a nice philosophical idea, it has practical implications for how we live. Think about how you can serve others through mentoring, volunteering, sharing knowledge, or simply being a good neighbor. Every interaction is an opportunity to practice Stoic principles. Let's get even more specific about how to apply these principles in different areas of life. In the workplace, focus on your effort rather than outcomes. Treat difficulties as opportunities for growth. Maintain your ethical principles even under pressure. Support your colleagues without expecting recognition in return. In your relationships, practice understanding before judgment. Accept others as they are while focusing on your own behavior. Communicate with patience and clarity. Remember, you can't control how others act, but you can control your responses and actions. In your personal growth journey, set realistic goals based on your values. Measure your progress against your previous self and not others. Learn from setbacks instead of being discouraged by them. Maintain consistent practice even when motivation wavers. Now, I know all of this might seem overwhelming. That's why we need to talk about implementation. Start small, choose just one practice to focus on. Maybe it's the morning reflection, or perhaps it's journaling. Build these habits gradually, celebrate small victories, be patient with your progress. Stay consistent by setting regular review times. Keep your practice simple. Complexity is the enemy of consistency. Track your progress, but be flexible enough to adjust your approach when needed. Remember, this is a lifelong journey, not a race to some finish line. As we conclude our exploration of Stoic philosophy, I want you to reflect on a few questions. Which of these practices resonates most with your current life situation? How can you begin implementing these ideas tomorrow? What obstacles might you face, and how will you address them? How can you use these principles to benefit not just yourself, but your community? Remember, Stoicism isn't about achieving perfection. It's about continuous improvement and practical wisdom. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Every day presents new opportunities to practice and grow. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Stoic philosophy. Now it's time to put these principles into practice.